Okay, if you've been on social media at all lately, you've definitely seen it. I'm talking about that bright, glowing yellow drink. They're calling it golden water. And, I see these trends pop up, so I had to dig in and figure out what's really going on. Let's separate the hype from the actual science.
And the claims? Oh man, they are everywhere. You've seen them, right? It's this miracle drink that's going to burn fat, cure inflammation, detox your liver, the whole shebang. But my rule of thumb, if something sounds that good, it's probably worth taking a closer look.
So, that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's just push all the marketing fluff to the side for a minute and look at what the research actually says. What can this ancient spice really do for us?
Okay, and right out of the gate, we run into our first and honestly our biggest problem. See, it's not nearly as simple as just stirring some turmeric powder into water. There's what I like to call the curcumin conundrum.
So the actual hero here, the thing everyone's talking about, is a compound called curcumin. That's the active ingredient inside turmeric that's supposed to have all these amazing anti-inflammatory and antioxidant powers. But, and this is a huge but, turmeric and curcumin are not the same thing, not even close.
I mean, just look at this. When you buy regular turmeric powder at the grocery store, curcumin only makes up this tiny, tiny sliver. We're talking maybe 3 to 8%. The rest, it's just other stuff in the spice. So right away, the amount of the good stuff you're getting is already super small.
And then comes problem number 2, and honestly, this one's a game stopper. Curcumin is hydrophobic. It's a sciencey word that just means it hates water. Hates it. Think about trying to mix oil into a glass of water. It just clumps up and floats around, right? Well, that's exactly what curcumin does. So when you stir it into your golden water, most of it isn't even getting absorbed. It's just passing right on through you.
Okay, so let's put some hard numbers to this, just so we're all on the same page. You take 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder, stir it into your hot water. Best case scenario, you're getting somewhere between, say, 30 and 90 milligrams of actual curcumin. And that's before we even talk about the fact that your body can't really absorb it. So lock that number in your head, 30 to 90.
Now, look at this. The scientific studies, the ones where they actually saw significant health benefits, they were using doses of 1,500 milligrams, or even more, per day. That's not just a little different. That is a completely different universe compared to what's in your homemade cup. It's just a staggering difference. All right, so we know there's this massive dosage gap, but let's set that aside for a second. What did those high-dose studies actually find? What does the science really show when you get enough curcumin into the system?
Well, when you look at all the research, a really clear pattern emerges. The evidence is super strong for things like joint pain and inflammation. But for all those other claims you see online, weight loss, better mood, the results are, well, they're pretty shaky, modest at best, and often really inconsistent.
Yeah, let's break it down a bit more. The data for helping with joint pain and lowering specific inflammatory markers in the blood, it's solid, like really solid. But when you start talking about losing weight or boosting your brain power, the science just isn't there yet. The effects are either tiny or they just can't be reproduced consistently.
But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is probably the biggest takeaway. The absolute strongest evidence is for osteoarthritis pain. Get this. Some big analyses found that high-dose curcumin supplements could provide pain relief that was pretty much on par with common over-the-counter drugs like ibuprofen. Now, that is a really powerful finding.
Okay, so after all that, you might be thinking, well, should I even bother? But if you still enjoy the idea of a warm turmeric drink, the good news is you don't have to give up. There are actually some really simple tricks, stuff you can do right in your kitchen that can make a huge difference in how much you absorb.
It's a simple 3-step formula. First, you gotta add some fat. Could be a splash of coconut oil, some full-fat milk, anything like that. Second, and this one is crucial, add a tiny pinch of black pepper. Just a little bit. And third, use gentle heat. Don't just dump boiling water on it. Let it simmer for a bit and whisk it up.
So why do these 3 things work? It's pretty cool, actually. Remember how curcumin hates water? Well, it loves fat. It's fat-soluble. So the fat basically acts like a taxi, carrying the curcumin into your system. The black pepper, it contains something called piperine, and it's like a superpower for absorption. And the gentle heat just helps pull all those good compounds out of the turmeric in the first place. Put it all together, and what do you get? Way better bioavailability, meaning more of the good stuff actually gets into your body.
Okay, hang on.
before you go and start making giant batches of this stuff, we need to talk about the fine print. This is the really, really important part, especially if you're thinking about skipping the spice and going straight for those high-dose supplements.
Look, this is non-negotiable. You have to talk to your doctor before making this a regular thing, especially if you're on blood thinners, have any gallbladder or liver issues, or if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Turmeric, especially in high doses, can interact with medications, and it's just not safe for everyone. Seriously.
And let's be super clear about the difference here, okay? Using turmeric as a spice in your cooking, totally fine, generally safe for pretty much everyone. But taking those super concentrated, high-dose curcumin pills, that's a whole different story. That's not food anymore. That's a medical intervention, and you have to treat it with that level of seriousness.
All right, we've gone through the social media hype, we've looked at the real science, and we've covered the crucial safety stuff. So, where does that leave us? What's the final verdict on that daily cup of golden water?
It really boils down to this. Should you drink it? Well, yeah, go for it if you just enjoy it as a warm, comfortable drink and you're hoping for a little bit of modest anti-inflammatory support. And of course, if you don't have any of those medical issues we talked about. But you should probably rethink it if you're expecting some kind of miracle cure or you're trying to get those massive doses they use in studies. At the end of the day, it's a helpful spice, not a magic potion.
So, let's go back to our original question. Is your golden water a health boost or just a habit? Well, the science says that if you make it the right way, yeah, it can be a small health boost. But for a lot of people, it might just be a warm, comforting, and totally healthy habit. And you know what? Maybe that's perfectly okay. Now that you have the facts, the choice is yours.